So we come together in the Hollow, as we do around this time every year, to begin the school year. You know, in many ways, beginnings are fresh starts, new starts. New opportunities wait for us. New opportunities invite us to take advantage of what the world, and in our case here at Loyola, has to offer. So it's something certainly to embrace, because it's not often that you get to begin again. Is that a line from a Taylor Swift song? It might be. That's not in my notes. I just said it and just heard that. So, beginnings are exciting, but they're also intimidating, because when anything begins, we don't know what is next. But we should surely express gratitude for the fact that we are beginning today together as a community here in our Hollow, even though what lies ahead in the next minute or next year is very much unknown. The Mass of the Holy Spirit is a tradition in all Jesuit schools, and it really dates back to 1548, when that first Jesuit school was opened in Messina, Italy. And it marks our beginning as a network, but as a community rooted in faith and a community rooted in justice. So as I said, what happens next? Who knows? So we sit and we wait patiently. So while we celebrate the beginning of a new academic year here at Loyola, we also remember in a very special way the tragic occurrences of September 11th, 2001, a day that transformed and changed the lives of so many, and our country at large. But this day, in many ways, was also a beginning. For me and for many others, it was a restart of sorts. Many of us remember that day very clearly. I was in New York City working that day, and I remember how the day unfolded. But it was more the evening of September 11th that remains in my memory. As I walked out into the streets of New York City, it was quiet. It was empty. And in many ways, it appeared to be abandoned. And like many, I was overwhelmed, I was exhausted, and what scared me the most was that I felt at the moment that I had lost my faith, because it had been challenged that day. It had been challenged for many of us. And faith is that which up to that moment gave direction to my life. And without that compass, I was lost. Clearly, this wasn't God's plan. Clearly, this was a dream from which we would awaken, and all would be as it once was. We would all awake from this dream. Though the tragedy has marked the date September 11th for 15 years, it has also brought us together, united as a community of faith. And we often say, it's in the face of tragedy that we see the resilient love of those around us. And in that, the trace of faith remained. You only need a trace of faith to start again. Maybe not a new beginning, but certainly a different one. And that one that required some effort on our part to accept. This beginning, any beginning, is an invitation. And as St. Ignatius tells us, it's an invitation to see God in all things. But what a profound challenge that continues to be in a world that continues to be marked and marred by discrimination, by bigotry, by fundamentalist and extremist ideals and beliefs that are manifested in acts of hatred and violence. So where's God? Where's faith? It's here. It's here in every one of us, and we must accept this. As shared in the second reading, he who raised Christ from the dead will give life to your mortal bodies also through his Spirit that dwells in you. It's there. It's always there. Just open your eyes and you will see it. We collectively are charged with making a positive impact on the world, and you do, with making this world more accepting, more loving, more understanding. We live in a world that is in need of that faith check. So let's give it that check. As Pope Francis says, faith is born of the encounter with the living God. It's born. It's a new beginning. It's in all of us. Does this mean that each time we seek to find God in our daily interactions with the world around us, that our faith finds new and enhanced meaning, that it starts again, that it's another beginning? Yes. Yes, it is. And that's actually a wonderful thing. It's the grace of our belief in the living God and the fire that continues to burn deep within our hearts, and a constant and ever-present reminder that beginnings happen not once, but all of the time. That's hope, that's wonder, that's joy. So I pose this very simple question for all of us to ponder. So today is the beginning of what? For you, for me, for everybody. But together, it's a new start. So let's consider how we take advantage of that. I want you to be intentional. I want all of us to be intentional in seeking the many ways in which God might be revealed to us in our daily lives. God's there. The presence is there. But we have to be willing and able to see, to witness, and to listen. All right, so I'll tip my hand a little bit on what I've heard as my message, or as the message to me. It's been right in front of me for many, many years. I do talk about it. We talk about it. It appears in the spiritual exercises of St. Ignatius. It's something called the presupposition of goodwill, and it appears early in the exercises. So here's the question, right? You remember years ago, what would Jesus do, right? You remember that? And I think that still sort of lingers out there. I still think it's a great question to ask ourselves. So when Christ encountered someone with whom he had a disagreement, or whose point of view he was that was in opposition to his own, what would he do? Well, he would do the same thing that he asks of us, and the same thing that St. Ignatius impresses upon us in the beginning of the exercises, and that is, in my words, pause, evaluate, and take inventory of our own emotions. And then, here's the hard part, presuppose good intentions on the part of the other with whom we may not agree. Just start there. It's a start. It is the hardest thing to do. Trust me, I'm challenged by it, as we all are, all of the time. But it's healthy, and it's a necessary way of proceeding in a Jesuit school. So try it. So here's Father Jim Martin, Jesuit, well-known Jesuit, written many, many books. Here's what he says about the presupposition of goodwill. While most people would agree with the presupposition in principle, we often do just the opposite. We expect others to judge us according to our intentions, but we judge others according to their actions. My intention was good. Why didn't anybody see it? But sometimes when it comes to other people, we fail to give them the benefit of the doubt. Give them the benefit of the doubt as a new start. It's only fair to that person. It's only fair to you. So relieve sort of those burdens that maybe weigh you down, because you deserve it. You deserve to let it all go. Release those burdens. Presuppose goodwill on the part of everybody around you. If we can do that as human beings, as members of the Loyola community, we will have an even greater impact on helping others experience joy of this new beginning. This way of proceeding across our community will make us an even more loving, caring, and thoughtful community. You do it already. You already do it. Let's do it all the time. Here's to a great year. Thanks, everybody.